Gráinne gur mága bhas fannach Lynn. The National Library of Ireland have what is purported to be the first ever school book as Gaeilge.
We are lucky to have the book itself, Coisce Éire, here this morning, which dates back to 1912, along with some other very interesting artefacts.
The director of the National Library of Ireland, Audrey Whitty, is here to tell us more. Audrey, Fáilteamór wrote Armagh, great to have you in. So tell us about this first book. It's a school book for children as Gaeilge, the first.
It is more or less because the Irish language was put on the curriculum for primary school children in Ireland only from 1904. So it predates independence, obviously, in 1921. And this dates, as you said, to 1912. It's by a guy called Antoine Ua Dochartaigh, who was from Conradh Island off the coast of Oranmore in Conradh. He was an incredible man. We should know more about him. At the age of 18, he was speaking Irish in school at fear of persecution, which really, we can't actually stress enough the amount of people who were in harm's way in order to actually make the language survive at grassroots level. And he also was a founding member of Conradh Gaeilge, the Gaelic League in Tirconnell from 1895. But what he did was he noticed that there were alphabet books pertaining to the English language for primary school children, and he wanted to do something similar for the Irish language for Irish-going school speaking children. So as a result, you have the most incredible Gaelic script here, because obviously up until really the 1960s, we had a particular Gaelic script associated with our teanga. And this is very much playing on, I suppose, what you'd use now in terms of teaching children various different words like cuan for harbour, for cold, chinna for the fire, and these beautiful scenes there at the top, particularly on the right-hand side, around near Níl Tintáim or the Hintáin Féin, almost a type of image. But he was extraordinary, and it was because he was very close friends with a particular bishop called Portico O'Donnell that he didn't actually get persecuted for the teaching of Irish in the school. So it really was an incredible feat that he achieved. And likewise, this pamphlet, which is also Antoine Ua Dochartaigh, this dates to 1907, so it's a few years earlier than the other one. I'm just going to try and open it up now in the centre, but you can see that we have these beautiful illustrations, and again, this typeface of the Gaelic script that we really have kind of lost, I think, in recent decades. We had it even on our coinage up until, obviously, 2002.
That's right.
And the Shevu, obviously, with the H now, but was the dot over a particular letter up until the 1960s. So these incredible people in the boat here. This is probably a lithographic print, actually, again, to teach you the words around basically the fada over the A for bod, and also there's words like fear for men and others. And then we have these incredible scenes of animals, particularly farm animals, the anavaha, so the muck there, the pig. So it was really about what ordinary school-going children in Ireland would have been familiar with as well, in terms of trying to relay the language on their terms.
Indeed.
It was very, very clever. And the National Library of Ireland, Léighinn and Seachtain Éire, we have 12 million items. It's an extraordinary collection. It's the largest out of the national collections, and everybody can come in and access it, whether it's through Béarla, no Gaeilge, no many other teanga, because obviously we have a thing called legal deposit. So anything that's produced in Ireland by way of publication, we have to acquire it, no matter what the language.
Wow.
So it's a massive responsibility. We take it really seriously, but the people of Ireland, literally own the National Library. So you're more than every right to go in and access it whenever you need to.
And Audrey, we're very lucky here today because these items have not left the library in how long?
I don't believe these two items by Antoine Ua Dochartaigh have ever left the National Library of Ireland. So this is the first time today that they've left the building.
In over 100 years?
Yes, because they would have been acquired in the 1930s.
Or around 100 years.
Yeah. And I noticed you didn't touch this one.
No, I didn't, because for conservation reasons, we have to be very careful, obviously, with certain items in the collection. But the beauty of a National Library, as opposed to maybe other cultural entities, is that you actually do have the tangible. Like, as a reader, you can call down anything, even if it's fragile, and you can still look at it, even under certain conditions.
Okay.
So you don't necessarily have that in, let's say, in other gallery settings, where everything might be behind glass.
Yeah.
So the accessibility aspect of a National Library, I think, can't be stressed more strongly than that.
And it's a real connection with the past to be able to read that, isn't it?
And especially this week of all weeks, Seachtain Gaeilge and obviously St Patrick's weekend. But we're continuously looking at the evolving story of Ireland. It's the recorded memory of the country. So it's not just about obviously the preservation and the dissemination of the Irish language or the English language by Irish writers. It's literally about anything that has taken place in Ireland. We have to acquire that.
Fantastic.
And talk about these prints then, Audrey, quickly.
Well, this is the first one on the left-hand side is absolutely extraordinary. It's by an artist scribe, and that's the only way to describe him because he actually did most of his work on vellum, called Art O'Murnaghan. And Art O'Murnaghan was born in 1872 in Southampton, but he was of County Down parents and came over to Dublin, very attracted because of the Celtic revival that was going on, just like Antoine Ua Dochartaigh and the foundation of the Gaelic League. And he decided he would base himself here for the rest of his life. And we are so glad that he did. He produced a masterpiece called Laura na Éire, the Book of the Resurrection. And this piece, which is a replica from the 1922 Éire page that he produced, was a way of fundraising to implement that particular book, Laura na Éire, which actually was Ireland's memorial to her patriot dead. So the only way to describe it is that all of the leaders associated with the revolutionary era were incorporated in these incredible motifs in terms of their names or the themes that had taken place during those revolutionary years in the Lour. And this was basically his calling card. He had won the competition to do the Lour, and this Éire page is dating to 1922. So it's the very start of his entire enterprise, which went all the way up to 1951.
So intricate, and there's so many motifs, as you said. Talk to me about that star on top.
Well, the star on top is, again, it's associated with ancient Irish legend. So Art O'Murnaghan was a major, I suppose, believer in the ancient myths and legends associated with Ireland, such as the coming of the Milesians, for instance. So you see that that's usually associated with the Fianna later on, with the Fianna Éire, that particular star motif. And then when you look at the names for the name Ireland, so obviously Éire, but just underneath it you have Inish Alga, you have Fowla, you have Scóta.
Yes, I love them.
Amazing, Hibernia. And Scóta is very interesting, or Scóta, because obviously Scotland, just with the weekend that's in it, that actually means Scottai, which is the Irish in Scotland.
That's
so
right.
Scotland technically means Ireland.
I know. We won't annoy them anymore.
And very quickly, Audrey, this last print here, this poster.
This is Conradh Gaeilge. It's Ceolcurum agus céilí, and it was held in the Mansion House in 1917, and it was basically for their féile na sauna. So it's from the 29th of October, you see the dates there, to the 3rd of November, all as Gaeilge. But the Gaelic League, we owe them everything. And obviously Douglas Hyde, who became the first president of Ireland, was their first founder in 1893, from this amazing speech he made in November of the previous year about the de-Anglicisation of Ireland. So we owe that generation, I think, everything.
Absolutely. And what we were just saying was, Gas, is that Gráinne and I were actually at a Ceolcurum and a céilí organised by Conradh Gaeilge in the Mansion House last week. So 100 years later, they're still doing the same thing. It's amazing to see. I know. Audrey, thank you so much for coming in and chatting to us today.
Wonderful, Audrey. Thank you.
Now, if you'd like more information on any of the items we've seen this morning, you can check it out on NLI.ie.
Up next, we have a true staple of Irish cuisine cooking in the kitchen, a modern classic. Don't go anywhere.